But one thing I can promise you this, I will always tell you the truth.
Greetings, my fellow Americans. This is T-Pain USA, and welcome to another episode of the Really American T-Cast. Now, for fun on the 4th yesterday, T-Pain got on Twitter and asked his folks to write back and say what they thought Trump's biggest lies were. Then it was T-Pain's unenviable task to sort through this montage of misrepresentation and codify them into a top 10 list. So, they say that when you point a finger at somebody, that there's 4 fingers pointing back at you. But T-Pain fact-checked that, and that is false. Actually, there's only 3. Only 3 fingers pointing back at you. Your thumb at best is pointing up. So I'm glad we got that straightened out. So, when you lie, it's a lot like pointing fingers, because usually you end up telling 2 or 3 truths in the process. So what we're going to do today is study Trump's top 10 lies, debunk them, and then examine the truths Trump is unknowingly doing while he does it. So, we're going to overlook the honorable mentions like his wedding vows and the...
I am the least racist person in this room.
And,
I'm a very stable genius.
And of course...
I did nothing wrong.
And like old Dave Letterman's show, we're going to start at number 10 and go straight to the bottom. So let's just jump right in, shall we?
Hillary Clinton, I didn't say lock her up, but the people would all say lock her up, lock her up. Okay.
Old Whoopi's face kind of says it all, don't it? Trump looked the American people right in the lens and said, I never said lock her up. Let's hear it again.
Hillary Clinton, I didn't say lock her up.
And since he was on Fox News, he might have got away with it if it weren't for all them meddling kids and their video cameras. Roll the tape.
I will say this, Hillary Clinton has to go to jail, okay?
She has to go to jail. For what she's done, they should lock her up. She's disgraceful.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Crooked Hillary, wait. Crooked, you should lock her up, I'll tell you.
That's right, lock them up. You should lock them up. Lock up the Bidens. Lock up Hillary.
Now, the truth that Trump is telling here is that he knows he's so guilty that he now has to deny one of his most popular, most repeated campaign risks from 2016. This one's got to hurt.
Trump tweeted, an extremely credible source has called my office and told me that Barack Obama's birth certificate is a fraud. It was one of 67 Trump tweets on the birther issue.
Now, Trump was the godfather of the birther movement, which was a very clever way of calling Obama the N-word at just the right frequency so only the Tea Party could hear it while maintaining plausible deniability. Now, before we watch this debunk video, T-Pain knows that there's a lot of MAGAs out here watching these videos, and they have a tendency to get riled up at these debunkers. And sometimes they send them little notes on Twitter, along with maps to their home and names of their kids and their school they go to. But MAGA, you might want to go just a little easy on this next fella.
Barack Obama was born in the United States, period.
So what truths are Trump telling us with this whopper? Well, actually, there's 2 of them. One, he believes a majority of Americans, like him, are racist. And 2, Trump tells us he knows he can never compete with a real president like Barack Obama, so he's got to delegitimize him. In a word, Trump tells us exactly how he sees himself. Illegitimate.
Insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors.
Folks, this one is so easy, you don't need a fancy debunk video. As a matter of fact, here's the actual act that President Biden signed into law that capped the insulin prices at $35. It was introduced by Senator Warnock from Georgia on February the 17th, 2022. A whole year after Trump was out of office. So why lie about something so easy to disprove? Well, because outside of a massive tax cut for the insanely wealthy, Trump accomplished nothing during his presidency. Now, Trump knows this is a huge, huge win for Joe Biden, particularly with seniors. a demographic group Trump desperately needs to stay out of prison. Any person that has to take credit for another person's achievements tells us that they are incredibly, no, chronically insecure about their ability to get things done.
I've just landed, having returned from a very important and special meeting with the President of Mexico. We will build a great wall along the southern border. And Mexico will pay for the wall.
Right before Trump promised Mexico would pay for the wall, he mentioned he met with the Mexican president and he had a very productive meeting. So productive, in fact, he promised he'd build a wall along our southern border and Mexico would pay for it. Well, who better to debunk this crazy lie rather than the aforementioned great leader from Mexico?
México no cree en los muros. Lo he dicho una y otra vez. México no pagará ningún muro.
Now, with this crazy lie, Trump's telling us he desperately needs you to believe he's smart. So smart, he could sell sand to an Arab or snow to an Eskimo. But all it really tells us is that Trump is a galactically needy individual. He's also letting us know, since his birther lie exploded in his face, he needed a new racist metaphor to lead his unwashed and unholy MAGA mob into the false promised land.
I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
This is the kind of historical revisionism that would make old Joseph Goebbels blush. According to Trump, he was trying to save all those poor people from that mob. Nancy Pelosi, by turning down the National Guard, literally tried to assassinate herself. She should be ashamed. And by the way, it's a little known fact, but 3 fact checkers were hospitalized on debate night from total exhaustion.
He said Nancy Pelosi turned down his offer of 10,000 National Guard troops on January 6th. There's no evidence she even got such an offer. It was the president, not Pelosi, who had the power to deploy the D.C. Guard. He said Pelosi now acknowledges she turned down the troops. No, her office tells me this claim is still a lie.
Trump is like some 5-year-old kid that got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. And he came up with this whopper that the cookie jar attacked him and was trying to bite his hand off.
We're signing a health care plan within 2 weeks. A full and complete health care plan.
You remember how anytime Trump promised some big crazy thing, it was always going to come out in 2 weeks? What do you reckon it is with Trump and this 2-week thing?
Young fella, this is a public market. Now, if you want Dapper Dan, I can order it for you. Have it in a couple of weeks.
Well, ain't this place a geographical oddity? 2 weeks from everywhere.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus. It's all turning. They lost. It's all turning. Think of it. Think of it. And this is their new hoax.
Some of Trump's lies, they're funny. Some of them are just sad. But this one particular lie gets T-Pain madder than a wet hornet. It's time for some straight talk, folks. I personally lost 2 childhood friends because they chose to believe Trump's COVID lies over basic science. Now, this lie don't need no debunking, because chances are good you lost somebody to COVID too. And as always, T-Pain's going to shoot you the truth. Some lies just irritate people. Some lies cost people money or their jobs. But this lie got people killed. And the truth behind this lie is easy to see. Donald Trump don't give 2 shucks about none of us. The only thing Donald Trump cares about is Donald Trump. And that's all T-Pain's got to say about that.
The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby.
Is there anything Trump won't say to get elected? Somebody wake up that poor fact checker out of his lie coma.
He said some Democratic states allow people to execute babies after birth, an egregious lie that is illegal in every state. He said everybody, even Democrats, wanted Roe v. Wade overturned. Roe was supported by 2/3 of Americans, even more Democrats. He said every legal scholar wanted Roe overturned, abortion returned to the states. Legal scholars have told me directly this is not true.
Why would anybody make up a story so absurd? Well, because the harsh reality is Trump took away a freedom American women enjoyed for over 50 years, and they are hopping mad and coming after him at the ballot box. Trump knows this one issue alone can destroy the chances of reaching the White House and more likely wind him up in the big house. What's the truth here? Trump is scared. Now we've reached the shameless commerce portion of our program. Folks, take a second, head over to Amazon.com and search for T-Pain USA in books, and you'll find out T-Pain's got 2 political humor bestsellers available. You'll thank yourself. Tipping the scales at number 2 is Trump's claim on his Fulton County mugshot that he is 6 foot 3 inches tall and a very svelte 215 pounds. Now, although this lie comes in at number 2, this might be Trump's most important lie. Because if you'll believe Trump is 6'3", 215, you'll believe anything. With this lie, Trump has left the birther movement behind, and now he's the godfather of the girther movement. So, first things first, is Trump really 6'3"? Clearly not. All you need to debunk this one is your eye thingies. Now, in this side-by-side comparison, we can clearly see President Obama, who we know is 6 foot 1 inch, has almost a half inch on old Trump here. But let's give Trump the benefit of the doubt and pretend all 330 million Americans are suffering from poor eyesight. Even if Trump is 6'3", he's not, and 215, he's not. Check out this montage of Trump mixed in with 2 athletes that are also 6'3" and 215. It's like a Where's Waldo for gullible people. Check out Trump pictured here with his long-lost identical twin. Trump doubled down on this battle of the bulge with the claim that he's the healthiest president ever. Remember that one? Seriously? Check this out. This is just another sad reminder Trump ain't half the man President Obama is. More like twice the man. Twice. Get it? Girther movement? Nobody? So what's the overarching truth behind this ridiculous lie? Well, 1, Trump wants you to suspend all belief you might have in your eyes, in your ears, in physics in general, because he knows down deep he's got nothing of actual substance to offer voters. And number 2, well, let's put it this way. We don't need Stormy Daniels to tell us that Trump don't measure up.
Just to be clear, were you listening to your lawyer's advice or were you listening to your own instincts?
I was listening to different people, and when I added it all up, the election was rigged.
There it is. Numero uno, the big enchilada. How do we know this is Trump's biggest lie? Because it's the one he tells the most. Now, this lie has been debunked a gazillion times, so T-Pain ain't going to waste any of your folks' precious time repeating the obvious. So what does Trump's biggest lie tell us? You see, a liar is motivated by many things, but when you distill it down to its essence, it's all about one thing: fear. Trump's biggest lie is to cover up Trump's biggest fear. And Trump's biggest fear is that America will see him for exactly what he is: a loser. So why do folks lie in the first place? Well, the answer's simple. They lie because reality ain't their friend. They lie because the lie makes them look better than the truth. And Trump told over 35,000 documented lies during his time in the White House. And heck, just 290 lies in 90 minutes the other night. If Trump was really the great president and leader that he thinks he is, he'd just tell you the truth and be confident he'd have your vote. So when you're in that booth in November, if you don't remember anything else, remember this: Trump promised he'd be a dictator on day one, but then later reversed himself when he got caught. And you know the funny thing about liars? When a liar accidentally tells you the truth, you better believe him. T-Pain out.